Hello, this is Shaheen. I'm going to do a series of videos on spiritual cleansing. And this is the first one, and I want to talk about what spiritual cleansing is first. Spiritual cleansing is basically the act of clearing away and releasing negative energies or stray energies that have built up around or within an area or a person or a place or a thing. And a lot of times, what happens is over years and years of people inhabiting a building or a specific room, energy is collected in there, sort of like dust, and it's just builds up and it layers, and there are stray energies that start to conglomerate, and those energies can set the mood or the feeling that's in a place. It also happens with objects, things that are old and things that are new. If something is very old, every person that's ever touched or handled or used or been around that particular object has put their imprint on that thing. And so that energy builds up and it builds up and it builds up. And it's not always a negative thing. It's just a matter of that energy can tend to take on a whole sense of its own. So if it's a sense of peace and of healing and of serenity, then it may be something that really is in sync with you. It may vibrate with the energy that you're personally vibrating with. But oftentimes, because these energies are all coming from different sources and from stray places, they don't always meld and mesh together in a good way. So, spiritual cleansing is a way to release those energies and to basically clean the slate or clean it to an extent so that you are able to imbue it with your own personal energy. The same goes for you personally, your body. Your body is the densest part of your being, as I've talked about before. And what that means is we have a whole ton of layers of energy that surround our bodies. So there's a layer right next to your physical body, and then another layer, and another layer, and another layer. And we also have the 7 main chakras, which start at the root and go up to the crown. And these are all composed of energy. Energy is constantly shifting and growing and changing, and there's a constant exchange of energy in between places and people and things. And I talked about this briefly in the video I did previously about energetic cords. So what happens is, because these energies are stray, or because these energies aren't put there consciously, whether it be in a place or a thing or in our bodies, they tend to cause a sense of unease, a sense of dread. It can be the cause of anxiety, depression, sadness. It can be the cause of feeling cloudy or chaotic. So all of those feelings are signs that either you need to spiritually cleanse yourself, or maybe it's the space that you're in. So if you notice that every time you go into a certain house or into a certain room, you feel that way, then you may need to spiritually cleanse that place. Or it may be an object that you have around you that you are interacting with on a daily basis. Or at certain times when you're interacting with this particular object, it may be that you feel that way because it needs to be cleansed. Now, spiritual cleansing sometimes needs to happen on at many different times, or it needs to happen on many levels. There are certain things that you can do to spiritually cleanse something that can be sort of a, not necessarily a quick fix, but it can kind of brush off the surface. But imagine that an object, for example, an old piece of furniture or an old piece of jewelry, and it's 150 years old. So many people have touched that object, and every single one of those people have put a little part of them in it. And these energies can become so strong that they can tend to almost take on a life of their own. And what happens is you have to spiritually cleanse enough times that that energy starts to, bit by bit, like dirt, be wiped away, be cleared away. So it may be that you spiritually cleanse something and you need to do it again and again and again. What I like to do whenever I'm feeling sick or I'm feeling mentally and emotionally down, or feeling cloudy, I like to spiritually cleanse myself, and I like to use a sage smudge. So today I'm going to talk about sage smudging and how to do that. So when I'm trying to spiritually cleanse myself, my physical body, I will use a sage smudge. And basically what you do is you take that smudge and you light it. And I have a couple here that I'll share with you. This is one that I really, really love. And this is white sage, and it's traditionally used by the Native Americans as a way to spiritually cleanse and bless things. And what you do is you actually light this in with either a candle or a lighter, and then the smoke from it starts to waft around or through whatever it is that you're cleansing. So if you were going to spiritually cleanse your body with the sage smudge, you would pass it under your arms and around the outer part of your body, under your arms, and then between the legs. And if you have someone to help you, then you can do all around, completely encompassing your body. A lot of times what I do when I'm spiritually cleansing something with sage is I will make a holy mark, something that's holy and represents protection to me. I will make it in the air with the sage smudge. So sometimes, you might want to do a cross, and just imagine that, sending that last bit of energy into that object, that spiritual cleansing into that object, and protecting it and sealing that new clean energy. So this is a white sage smudge. Now you may find other smudges. I know that this one is sage and I believe cedar. You can find this at metaphysical stores or novelty bookstores. You can find them anywhere. This one actually is from a really great local store by where I live, and this is locally grown and organic white sage, and it smells amazing. So I really love this one. Another thing that people use is sweetgrass, and this is a sweetgrass braid, and some people use this to spiritually cleanse an area, and other people use this after they're spiritually cleansed as a type of blessing. So you've cleared the negative energy, and then you burn this to bless the area. And this you can use the same way. You can light the end of this, or you can break pieces off and put them over charcoal. So this is another thing that can be used as a smudge. There are other things that are used for spiritual cleansing, like smudges. You can use cedar, you can use lavender, sage. Some people use roses. It just depends on whatever you find to be beneficial to you. I love white sage, and that's a traditional herb that is used. And even in the Catholic Church, they use the censer, and they go down through the church with it, swinging the smoke as a way of cleansing and blessing the area. So if you were going to spiritually cleanse with a smudge, a place, a building, whether it be your house or your office or just a room, you would walk around taking the smudge after it's been lit, and you would go to all of the corners of the room. So each corner of the room, you would pass the smudge under underneath of all pieces of furniture that you can safely. You would pass it around any piece of furniture or object that you can. I always pass it over mirrors because mirrors collect energy very easily. You pass it over windows, and anywhere that there's clutter, you definitely want to pass that sage smudge around, or that smudge around, to help clear out the energy of that clutter. I always pay special attention to doorways as well, and I pass it through the doorway and around the doorway, and then I like to put over every doorway, every window, and every mirror a spiritual symbol in the air with the sage smudge. That way it's sealing that clean energy. Now some people say that when you are sage smudging, if there is more smoke in an area than in another area, then that area where there's more smoke seeming to come off of the smudge, then there is more negative energy there. Now, I don't personally know if that's true or not, but it is something that I watch for at times to see how does the smudge react to this area. So that might be something to look for when you're smudging. Now, to spiritually cleanse an object, it's the same thing. You take that object, whether it be a large object, a piece of furniture, I always smudge furniture, it's very important, or a small object, a new book, a ring, whatever, and you just hold that, or you stand around it and you smudge as much of its surface as you can, allowing that smoke to completely encompass it, because you want that smudge, that smoke, to lift the negative energy away so that you can put your energy into it. If you've been in a fight with someone in a room or a particular household or place, it's a good idea to sage smudge there to clear that thick, heavy energy out of the air. If someone has been in a room where they've been ill, you might want to sage smudge to lift that energy out of the air. And another interesting about that is that the Native Americans believed that smudging would release the negative or the evil spirits out of a person's body. And there is scientific proof that when you sage smudge with a sage stick, that the smoke does actually kill bacteria in the air. And I have found personally that when I have a cold or something, or I can feel my sinuses being stopped up, if I sage smudge, it's the smoke and the sage, I believe, my sinuses clear up. It's like they drain and they clear up quickly. So there is a scientific aspect to that as well, I believe. If you are feeling like an area has a spirit or something that you don't want there, or a ghost, or a negative energetic attachment to that place that makes you feel uncomfortable, sage smudging will also help with that as well. So I think it's a really powerful and very easy technique for everyone to use, and I always find it beneficial. I love to smudge my body, my space, and my things, and I always feel that it's a great way to have a fresh new start. When I move into a new place, or when I clean and move furniture around within my already existing area, I always sage smudge afterwards, because energies linger and they hang around and they kind of wander. It's like dust, it wanders around, and so you want to smudge to clear all of that up and to release it. So I hope this helps, and if you have any questions, please let me know. If there's something I can clarify, please let me know, and I can do that as well. And look for some of my other videos. I'm going to post a couple of different videos about spiritual cleansing. So take care. Bye-bye.